Jonathan Taylor Thomas was a household name before he reached his teen years, but fame at such a young age can be difficult to deal with. Like many kids, Jonathan Taylor Thomas's parents split when he was little. Even though he has never talked at length publicly about the circumstances surrounding the demise of his parents' relationship, it's often mentioned in profiles of the star both back then and now. Thomas's early years were pretty normal by American standards. He was born in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, the second child of Claudine Gonzalez and Stephen Weiss. It didn't take long for them to recognize Thomas's star potential, and over the next few years, the youngster began modeling and starring in multiple commercials. While his career was on the up, his parents' relationship was going down. Shortly after he landed his most famous role as Randy in Home Improvement, Gonzalez and Weiss divorced. Thomas moved to Los Angeles with his mom and brother. As the years ticked by, America watched as Jonathan Taylor Thomas grew up from a sweet 9-year-old to a self-assured young man. Fans adored Home Improvement, his character Randy, and the on-screen chemistry between the members of the fictional Taylor family.
My hot rod!
You always said you wanted a snowmobile.
In 1996, Thomas was 15 years old and stealing the hearts of tweens across the globe. On paper, that seems like every young actor's dream, but all that glitters isn't always gold. In an interview with Premiere Magazine that year, Thomas admitted that the bright lights of Hollywood and everything associated with it didn't quite appeal to him. He told journalist Christopher Connolly, "You can't be trapped in this bubble called the acting industry. The industry is neurotic and weird, and so when I go home and I play basketball with my friends, I'm not Jonathan Taylor Thomas, I'm just Jonathan. I don't like hanging out with other actors and actresses." Even at this early age, Thomas seemed to have an aversion to the A-list lifestyle. In contrast to his contemporaries, like his Tom and Huck co-star Brad Renfro, who allegedly ran wild on the set of the movie, Thomas seemed to back away from the limelight rather than run into it. There are rules and conditions for underage actors working in the industry, such as the limit to how many hours they can work a day, a set amount of school time on set, and more. With that being said, that doesn't necessarily take away the stressful side of the job. After all, an actor is still an actor, and even youngsters are expected to work on their lines and hold up their end of the bargain. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was on the set of Home Improvement for 9.5 hours a day, according to an interview he gave to People early on in the show's run. His incredible work ethic left little time for him to just be a kid.
When you're on a TV series like me, there's not much time for working on other stuff.
He elaborated, "You have school, friends, learning your lines, and making sure your performance is up to speed. I can't tell you how many shows I've done with full-blown migraine headaches." Migraines often require sufferers to lay down in a dark room with painkillers and a cold compress, not exactly compatible with extra long days on brightly lit sets. Nevertheless, Thomas pushed through, exhibiting the dedication of a star far beyond his years. Sitcoms have always been a cornerstone of American television. For actors, landing a part in a successful TV show can be good for much more than just a steady paycheck. It can often lead to bigger and better things, giving them a platform that puts them at the forefront of a casting director's mind. However, Jonathan Taylor Thomas opted to voluntarily leave Home Improvement in the first half of the final season of the show.
You're a very odd boy, but I'm gonna miss you. I'll miss you too.
Fans didn't quite understand Thomas's decision and were hoping he would return for the show's finale to bring a well-rounded conclusion to the beloved program. As it turns out, Patricia Richardson, who played Thomas's mother Jill on the show, and Tim Allen, who played his father Tim, weren't all that happy with his decision to snub the finale either. While talking to TV Guide at the time, Richardson said, "It's a pretty sore point around here. I think there were a lot of bad feelings all along." Richardson went on to speculate that Thomas may have received some bad advice. As for Allen, he admitted that there was tension between himself and Thomas, which stemmed from Allen not understanding Thomas's reasoning that he wanted to go to school. Allen continued, "I mentioned publicly that I was confused. I don't think he liked that. No one seems to know the full reason except for Thomas himself, but one thing is for sure, it was a sad ending to a glittering era of his career." Being the center of gossip and speculation comes hand in hand with being famous. It's part of being in the public eye. The paychecks might be huge, but it comes at a different price. Jonathan Taylor Thomas may have been a minor during his peak Hollywood years, but that didn't stop plenty of people from speculating about his sexuality. It was such a talking point that when Thomas appeared on The Tonight Show in 1998, host Jay Leno brought up the rumors. Luckily, Thomas was able to take it in stride.
You know, I mean, you pretty much in Hollywood, you're not anyone until it's rumored that you're gay. So, you know, I wasn't that upset about it.
And not that there's anything wrong with that.
That didn't seem to be enough for Leno, though, who ended up asking Thomas point blank.
Yeah, but you're not, are you gay?
No. I'm
You know, it's fine.
not.
You know, if you want to come out, it's fine.
It's easy to write this off as late-night banter, but at the time, Thomas was still under 18. It's not a stretch to suggest the constant speculation may have played a part in his retreat from the public eye. As long as there have been celebrities, the public fascination with good-looking ones has never waned. If they're likable, then it's even more electric, with die-hard fans often going to great lengths to see their favorite stars in the flesh. Jonathan Taylor Thomas understands this firsthand. In the 90s, he was one of the most popular teen idols of his time, meaning that his legion of fans would often hunt him down in the obscurest of places. According to Vice, he was even found by fans during production on Wild America in the backwoods of Canada. Some actors love to be followed and be recognized, but Thomas had a much more complex feeling toward his superstardom than that of a typical teenage boy. Some in his position may have taken full advantage of this amount of attention, but the actor told the New York Times that while he appreciated his fans, he couldn't pander to them completely. He admitted, "You are a part of their life, and there is a lot that is owed them, but it's difficult because you want to make everyone happy. But if you try to do that, you're setting yourself up for failure." By 2013, Thomas had been gone from the industry for nearly a decade. He enrolled at Harvard after leaving Home Improvement, and eventually went on to spend 2 years at St. Andrews in Scotland. As the years ticked by, fans became resigned to the fact that his time in the entertainment industry may have just been a flash in the pan. However, Thomas did end up making a return to acting almost 15 years after exiting the sitcom to appear alongside his former TV dad Tim Allen on his show Last Man Standing.
I'm Mike Baxter.
Hey.
Man, you look familiar.
Allen divulged to Yahoo Entertainment that Thomas knew the show's director, John Pasquin, and had been shadowing him to learn more about directing. He continued, "Thomas is interested in directing. He's always been wonderful as an actor. Then he went to college and he found other interests. He graduated and he came back and loves directing, loves working with actors." While it sounds like Thomas was tentatively trying to find his way back into the business, it didn't exactly come back to him naturally. Allen said that his longtime friend was very shy and nervous on set, but there was more to it. He admitted, he worried whether he still had it, and he didn't want to do this because he's had other stuff in mind. By the time the show wrapped, Jonathan Taylor Thomas had appeared in 4 episodes of Last Man Standing between 2013 and 2015. Each time he appeared, fans were hopeful it would mean that he was on his way to a more permanent return to the industry, but it didn't quite pan out that way. Despite Allen's previous statements about Thomas loving the work, the star hasn't had an acting credit since his last appearance on the show, be it as an actor, director, or otherwise. This further retreat from the spotlight seems like an odd choice, given what Thomas told Entertainment Weekly in 2011. Back then, he said, "I'd eventually like to work behind the camera. That's not to say I would never act again. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I still have a passion for TV and film, and could see myself working in it." Of course, Thomas did follow that statement up with Last Man Standing, but it begs the question, what changed after his work on the show? Fans still hold out hope for the actor's resurgence, but Thomas's memories of attention-hungry fans, nosy journalists, and grueling work schedules may just be enough to last him a lifetime.